built into doing that. How many of you have heard of the Cult Awareness Network? Okay, well, the Cult Awareness Network, this just shows you how covert they are. The Cult Awareness Network was a group of people that got together to kind of, most of them families who'd lost children to various cults. And they got together at meetings to kind of educate each other about cults, what could they do to their kid, what could they do to help their kids, that kind of thing. Well, Scientology came to me and a bunch of other people, 99 other people, and said, can you just sign this thing? You know, we're going to handle the Cult Awareness Network because we're sick of that word cults. You know, it shouldn't be around anyway. So we're like, okay, so we sign it. It turns out they bankrupt CAN, and now when you call, if you type on the internet cults, you'll see CAN, Cult Awareness Network, you dial it up, it's Scientology. How's that for how bad is that? When 9/11 happened, I was on the internet with my friends, and it comes up for mental health. You have to understand they're totally against mental health, as most of you saw from Tom Cruise, right? I mean, totally. They're fanatics about it. Now, Tom Cruise doesn't know L. Ron Hubbard died with psych drugs in it, right? But he did. Yep, he did. But they're completely against it. So now Bush comes out after 9/11, and he's talking, and I'm on the internet, and I see for mental health, call 1-800-for-truth. And I go, that's the Dianetic hotline. And we call Fox, they take it off right away, and I think, I want to hear this. So I call up and I go, 1-800-for-truth? What? I said, you're for mental health? And this little 17-year-old girl goes, uh-huh, Dianetics, modern science of mental health. And you just think, that's pathetic. But see, that's how tricky they are. And they have the people like myself who went out after the earthquakes. I went out and passed out the Way to Happiness. Have you ever heard of that? That's another one of the Scientology things. See, they have all these other arms that came under a thing called ABLE, which is, what is ABLE? I'm like off my notes now. Wait, just a second. Oh, okay. Anyway, ABLE is, what is ABLE, Mark? Yeah, it's Association for Better Living and Education. Yeah, that's ABLE. And ABLE, they started basically, this is my opinion, but I feel like they started it basically to quote-unquote handle social problems, but also to increase their PR. Because nobody liked Scientology, so it was like, and I kept saying to them, you guys got to do something in the community. You're not doing anything. You know, all you do is get people into Scientology. So they started ABLE, and ABLE is Narconon, Criminon, Way to Happiness, and Applied Scholastics. Now, Narconon is to handle drugs, and we just got them kicked out of the state of California. They'd weaseled into the school systems and saying, we're not part of the Church of Scientology. And a bunch of people that worked at Narconon wouldn't give their names, but they definitely spoke about it to the journalists. And finally, the journalist called me and said, we've got to have a name on this. And I said, well, give me the quotes, and I'll see if I can. Because I definitely worked at Narconon, not long, but long enough. And the main quote I gave him was, it's definitely part of the Church of Scientology. It is. I watched them send their faxes up every Thursday before 2. That's the ending date for them, and man, it's a zoo there. So they kicked him out. Criminon is in the prison systems. They put in Way to Happiness in there. I wouldn't say I personally, you have to realize, first of all, my opinions are based on, I escaped out in July of 2000. So I've only been out 5 years. So I'm still always learning things and getting educated myself on this stuff. But right now, today, I can say I still don't think Way to Happiness is that bad. It's basically just basic principles like the 10 Commandments. Where it's bad, and I felt like this even when I was in, is they basically rope in doctors, dentists, lawyers, people that are well thought of in the community, and they'll go and they survey an area, and they find out what the quote-unquote buttons are for the area. And then they'll go to a doctor and say, you know, these are the buttons we found, and this is handled with Way to Happiness. If we get out 40,000 booklets, this will help it. And the guy feels guilty, and he says, okay, and he writes him a check for 20 grand, right? He doesn't realize what they're really doing is safe pointing Scientology. That's Hubbard wrote a thing called safe pointing, and that's what they do. They're getting L. Ron Hubbard's name out there. Do you see what I mean? So people are thinking good of him, and then they can move in with their churches. And this just happened about a year ago. I went to a movie, and it was a movie about black Baptist singers, right? And so we watch the movie, and I come out, and I see these guys on Hollywood Boulevard in their Navy uniforms, and there's a bunch of black kids around them, and they got the clipboard, and they're surveying them. What do you think of this picture? And I walk up and I said, you're a Scientologist. And he goes like this, I'm with the way to happiness. And I said, you know what? The very first principle of the way to happiness, or one of the key ones, is always tell the truth. So quit lying. Just tell them you're a Scientologist. And he goes, okay, I'm a Scientologist. They all go, you are? So then I walked down the block, and here's another guy surveying these black kids. And I said, you're a Scientologist. And he hesitated, I'm with the way to happiness. I said, you know what? I give him the same pitch. And he admits it to the kids. Okay, I'm a Scientologist. And I tell the kids, I said, you guys remember this. Because when they come into Inglewood to start their mission, you remember that they lied about this to you today. Because they did. And that's the stupid stuff they do. It's not that way to happiness is bad. It's just the sneaky stuff that they do around it that's not okay. They should pay for the booklet. If they really feel like the community needs it, they should pay for it. They milk enough people for money, they should pay for it. But they don't. They get other people to pay for it, not realizing, wait a minute, the money I'm forking out is to help their PR. Are you with me? Okay. All right. So, it's tricky. It's very tricky because it sounds good, it looks good, but you got to look beyond it. And one thing I will say, the critics have been fabulous for all of us, for really everyone in this room and everyone in the world, because the internet has been such a blessing, because totalitarian systems count on secrecy. They count on you not knowing the facts. And because of the internet, anybody just about can sit in your living room and find out facts about things that we never could before. Same with Scientology. Scientology depends on secrecy, right? You can't know, I can't tell you what the next level is until you pay me the check. And then even then you can't tell. And if you do tell, you're going to be declared a suppressive person. And just on and on and on. But now they can't do that because I, myself, went into my living room, and I'll tell you about that.